my name is Rebecca Hanna, and I'm going to be explaining the science experiment I conducted on electromagnetism. My hypothesis or question statement is, what is the effect of the number of coils around a nail on the number of paper clips attracted? Before I conducted this experiment, I thought that the more number of coils wrapped around the nail, the more paper clips would be attracted. This experiment is about electromagnetism and how electricity affects the strength of a magnet. Some key vocabulary students will need to know before conducting this experiment are electromagnetism. They will need to know that electromagnetism is the interaction of currents or fields in magnetic fields. They will also need to know that electricity is a form of energy from the existence of charged particles, or electrons or protons. They will need to know that a magnet is a piece of metal that can pull or attract other metals towards itself. You'll need to know that magnetism is the force of a magnet. A force is a push or pull resulting from the object's interaction with another object. And finally, they will need to know that an attraction is the electric or magnetic force from a body or particles that draws another towards it. Creating an electromagnet involves conducting electricity through coils surrounding an iron core. When electricity flows around the iron core or the nail in this experiment, the iron becomes magnetized and is referred to as an electromagnet. The force of the electromagnet can be multiplied by increasing the number of coils or the copper wire around the iron core, because it increases the attraction force of the magnet. The more force a magnet creates, the stronger its attraction will be. In this experiment, I will wrap copper wire around an iron screw 1, 2, and 3 times. Once the screw is wrapped in copper wire, I will connect the ends of the wire to opposite ends of a 9-volt battery to conduct electricity. I will use the electromagnet to record how many paper clips I can pick up with it. I will conduct 10 trials for each variable, 1 coil, 2 coils, and 3 coils. The variables in this experiment are manipulated variable. My changing variable are that I'm going to do 1 coil wrapped around the nail, 2 coils wrapped around the nail, and then 3 coils. My responding variable is the number of paper clips attracted, and my constant is the nail and the battery. The materials students will need for this experiment include a large iron nail, copper wire, which I have here, copper wire, a battery. I'm using 9-volt batteries. I did realize after I did my experiment that I may have needed more than 1 battery, just because the battery that I was using got really hot and kind of like lost its power. So you will also need paper clips, you'll need wire strippers, they'll need their data collection log so they can write down the results after conducting the experiment. They will also need a pencil to write down their results. Now, the procedures for this experiment are that you're going to wrap an iron nail with copper wire. So I took my iron nail and my copper wire and I wrapped it, making sure not to cross thread. So I just wrapped it around with 1 wire first. Once students have their nail wrapped with the wire, you can cut off any excess. You want to leave a few inches on each end, and then you want to strip the end of the wire so that the copper is exposed. After you have your nail wrapped in copper wire, you want to attach the ends to opposite ends of your battery. So one side will go to the positive, the other side will go to the negative, and then you will hover your nail over the paper clips to see how many you can get. You're going to do this 10 times with the nail wrapped in one copper wire, and then students will take another copper wire and wrap it around and place both ends of the copper wire to the battery and collect their data. Here's some photos of me conducting my experiment. So I was wrapping the nail with the copper wire, I was cutting the ends, and I was picking up paper clips. Okay, my data results were that with one copper wire, it attracted the least amount of paper clips. With two copper wires, it increased a little bit from one copper wire, and with three copper wires wrapped around my iron nail, I was able to collect the most number of paper clips. And here's my data written in a different form. So as you can see, they steadily increased. So my median for the data of one copper wire was 1. My median for two copper wires was 2, and my median for three copper wires was 3. And here's my data written as a graph. So you could see that the average of paper clips attracted for one coil wrapped around the nail was about 1.2. For 2 coils, it was about 2. And for 3 coils, it was about 2.8. 2.9, sorry. So these are my results. Now, when more coils were wrapped around the nail, the more paper clips were attracted. This happens because the magnetism is greater. When more coils are added, the force is greater because there is a higher number of electrons flowing around the iron core, which in turn creates higher levels of attraction. Now, in the real world, companies that may be interested in this type of experiment are MRI technicians. They would be interested in the results of this experiment because it would help them gather an understanding of electromagnetism as it changes forces within the physical environment. Other people who would be interested in this experiment are people who design generators, because the results of this experiment show the armature within the starter of a generator and